Welcome everyone to the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. I'm BJ, and every week we get together on Friday afternoon and chat about the best news and tutorials and resources that were published this week about WordPress. We always try to make this a very interactive show, so feel free to throw anything you want to in the comments, any questions, in the live chat rather, any comments that you have. And all of the links that we're talking about today are going to be in the video description here. So make sure that you expand that and click through, open up all them in all sorts of different tabs, and make sure that you give those content creators some love because we couldn't do this without them. I'm seeing people already talking in the live chats. I see hello everybody. I see already getting questions, which is fantastic. So I see hi Karashan, hi Martin. Martin on Facebook asks before we get in, do you know if it's possible to customize Divi Gallery image transitions? And I have never tried that. I know that if Video Superhero is watching this, that he probably knows, but that is one that I actually have not messed with. So hopefully somebody in the comments actually has done that one. I'm going to try to pull up the Divi Gallery documentation and see, because that's one that I have just not used personally. And see if it has anything in there. I am not seeing anything on just transition in the documentation, and that's all I would know right now. Video, I see you in YouTube chat. Awesome. He asked if it's possible to customize the Divi Gallery image transitions. I know that you use that one a lot, so I wanted to ask about that. And Martin is on Facebook, so I'll try to relay back and forth on that. Thank you for joining in and maybe having an answer. I see Apps2Fire asks, hey, I'm trying to get a SSL for free. And that usually comes from a host. If you have a SiteGround or Bluehost or anything like that, they often have a free SSL from Let's Encrypt. And if you're not on a host that offers a free SSL certificate for your domains, what you can do is look up Let's Encrypt. I'll try to find the article that we have on that, and you can set all of that stuff up on your own with Let's Encrypt. That is a free SSL certificate. One of the things about Let's Encrypt and things like that are that it's not exactly the same as having one that you paid for, but unless you're a high enterprise client, it is absolutely enough for most people. And I see that you have GoDaddy. They should have an SSL option on there. That's a host I haven't actually been in their backend for a while, but as far as I know, they offer an SSL update, I guess is how you put an upgrade in there, that you can see in the link that I have provided, that there's some talk about how to do that as well. Karashan says that GoDaddy does provide the SSL with hosting, so you'll want to dig around through the back end. I know that I use SiteGround for my personal stuff, and whenever I log into the dashboard with it, there is an SSL that's called SSL, and there's one for Let's Encrypt, and one that says, I think, manage encryption keys or something like that, manage encryption and manage SSL certificates to be able to find. So it'll say something along those lines for you. But yeah, for the most part, they come from your hosts these days. They're very easy to come by that way. It's a lot easier to do through your host than to do it manually through Let's Encrypt, even though that's a fairly simple process. And Martin on Facebook Video says he doesn't know about that, about the transitions. So that may be that might be a support question, or you could check out our Facebook page where people ask that, or not our Facebook page, excuse me, our Facebook group, Divi theme users, where we have a lot of people who can answer that. I'm sorry that I can't. That one is just slightly out of my my personal expertise on that one. I see Apps2Fire says that GoDaddy is trying to charge for that. Their host is GoDaddy going through charge that. Let me see. Y'all, this is the fun about live chat. Live chat and live streams. I'm seeing if there is a way to get Let's Encrypt on that, because yeah, I mean, charging for an SSL, what that does is let you what that does is let you verify your specific information, that you are exactly who you say you are. And let's see. I'm looking. And what that does is when they charge you is gets that. So the Let's Encrypt one is just a general, this is secured SSL. Here is an article from GoDaddy. Like I said, I haven't that someone has put together on their GoDaddy's community forums on how to install SSL with Let's Encrypt on GoDaddy, where that will be, a way that maybe you could do. Like I said, it's generally easier to do it, but if they're charging you, you can absolutely do it for free, and you can do it through stuff like that. I apologize for that, but yeah, they try that and see if it'll work. I see. Let's see. MB says. MB says. Tell me that ET's working on size and speed. Made a website and don't have many pictures. There's nothing fancy, and the page is 2 megabytes. Yes, actually, we are. Nick had said in the comments a couple of weeks ago, for one of our feature releases, that's what is being worked on right now, is slimming stuff down and working it. So that would definitely is definitely on the docket of making sure that we minimize as much as we possibly can with file sizes. Patrick asks, is there any development for more mobile menu options? The last I heard, I believe there was. I haven't seen anything in a while because that's not where I don't have access to a lot of that. But it's as far as I know, there is something coming up. I have no idea when on that one. It wasn't on the last few that I saw, but the last I knew that there was some mobile menu options somewhere scattered around in there. I know that sounds really vague, but that was the last I heard about it, that it should be coming at some point. I apologize for that. I do. That would be one, to get access to the dev logs and things like that. I don't. I'll check and see if I have GitHub access to see that stuff, because I have GitHub access. I don't know exactly where the line on that one is drawn, because I don't work directly with the dev team on stuff. And let's see, going through. All right. So moving into just the very brief news that I had this week, it's not a whole lot, and keep the questions and comments coming. I want to be able to keep talking, doing this. This is the part I love the most about the show. So as you can see, I get distracted by the comments a lot, and that's what this show is really all about. I see MB says, can I date one from the dev team that you need info? Do not think my wife would enjoy that one very much. So I'm going to just go with a hard no on that one. Video says, one thing I noticed on my Google PageSpeed Insights is that there's a lot of unused CSS. And that was, I believe, Video. I think that was the kind of thing that Nick was talking about on lowering the page speeds or page file sizes, was working on stuff like that specifically. I'd had to go back and get the exact comment, but it was on that kind of stuff that was making sure that it's optimized. So just real briefly, the next year's WordCamp Asia, that was supposed to be this week, wanted to let you guys know that y'all can go ahead and make plans if you're in the area, that it will be on next year. that they've said that the 2021 is going on, it's moving forward, and that this year's was canceled because of the coronavirus. We all hate that because it is a terrible tragedy that's going on in China and around the world, actually. And we, heartfelt sympathies and condolences, and we're excited though that we're going to have one in 2021. I'm sad personally because Raquel was going to be at WordCamp Asia, and the very first one we would have had an ET Divi presence there. So crossing our fingers for 2021, right? So I did want to let you guys know about that. Make plans ahead of time if you're in that area, because it's going to be the very first one. Since this was supposed to be the first one, next year's will be. That said, on March 31st, mark your calendars. I wanted to get out there that March 31st is going to be the tentative release date for WordPress 5.4. It's just the new point release. It's not a huge deal like the 5.0 release was, but it does have some new stuff in it. It's going to be the new major update for a while, and we wanted to make sure that y'all make any kind of precautions, take any kind of precautions that you need, and make any kind of preparations that you do before any kind of side updates happen. So instead of being a minor point release like 3.9 or something like that, 5.3.9, we're getting 5.4. You can check the beta right now. That's what the link is. There are links to the WordPress beta tester, and then you can download the beta from the link in the description of the video. Some of the highlights, I don't see this one as being terribly fun. As far as an update goes, there are some of them, like WordPress 4.9, that I was really, really excited about. Like there was the code syntax highlighter and a lot of stuff like that they included. And this one is just kind of a stability update. They're including some new things in the block editor, which if you're using the Gutenberg plugin, you already have access to. And just so you know, on that topic, if you like the block editor and you use it, if you install the Gutenberg plugin, that one is where they basically keep the new features coming ahead of time before they're integrated into core. So if you want to get new features earlier, if you use it, use the plugin. If you want to make sure that they're all absolutely production ready and there's no testing being done, don't install it and just use what comes with core. But they have columns in the block library that have unassigned width will now grow equally, which is great. The custom gradient picker now works in languages other than English, which is also great. And then one of my favorite fixes for this one that's just annoying, when choosing colors isn't possible, the color formatter no longer shows. I have been irritated by this to no end. So I was very, very glad to see that one coming to get fixed. But it's a security issues update. It's a bug fixes update. No real major features are being released in this one. It is making sure that everything is running smoothly for y'all. All right, we've got some comments. So that was like I was saying. I'm gonna get to the comments in just one second. That was the news that I found this week. Yeah, stuff's going on, but those were really the ones I wanted to make sure that I let you know about, so that you could plan travel and plan your customer updates. So as you start working with your clients to make sure that when 5.4 comes out, you're going to be able to do that smoothly, to be able to turn off updates for a little bit so that you can do them as you need to, as opposed to having them automatically updated, because that will be the March 31st when that should release. I see MB says that she, couldn't she learn to code? And she can. She does a little bit, but she is primarily in marketing, so I don't think she is looking for a developer's job. Sorry. But the Jay Philpott says regarding SSL to Apps 2 Fire, install the really simple SSL plugin to see if the SSL option shows up. I've used that one. That's what I use. I've always had to do the SSL separately from it, but it might do that. I've not used it on GoDaddy or any hosts other than Cloudways and SiteGround. So those are the two I've done that. So it's always worth a shot. I always use really simple SSL to make sure that everything's going, and then mixed content fixer maybe is the name of it. Something to make sure that everything is showing as HTTPS when I'm doing it. I see Nancy Makisa. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that. I truly apologize. Nancy, does Elegant Themes do sponsorships to WordCamp Chicago, for example? That sometimes, I don't know about Chicago in particular. There have been some in the past. It just depends on camp by camp basis, different kinds of things. That is a Nick question to go through on that one. A Nathan and Nick and Mitch question. I know it has happened before. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure about Chicago. I think is done on a camp by camp basis. See, MB says, will there be new theme builder designs now that the theme builder is released? Like templates and things like that, like the layout packs that we do, there should be. They are, let me think on how to put it. We did some for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, that if you missed out on those, they were really good to be able to get the header and footer and different page options. I'm not sure how the layout packs are going to work moving forward, if they're going to be moved in with theme builders or anything at all like that. I know that a lot of our tutorials, if you look back at the archives that both Jason and Donietta have done, they actually have a lot of theme builder JSON downloads in them. What they do is they give you the tutorial on how to create them yourself using the theme builder or using part of the theme builder, and then the download is in the post itself so that you can just import it into your theme builder. I did that last week actually with one of the downloads. One of the things that I liked a lot was Donietta did an author post that stuck to the side of or an author box that stuck to the side of a blog post. So I ended up downloading the one from the post on that one that she had put in and just importing it into the theme builder to use it. So if that's one thing that you can look into. Basically, anything that Jason and Donietta are doing these days is a download for some part of the Divi library, either theme builder or the just regular old Divi library. So, like I said, I'm the I'm the one who's downloading them. I know the ones I'm downloading are for the theme builder because they're great. Like Donietta does a lot of blog post templates and things like that. They're really, really cool. So that's where I would check out right now that I know for a fact they're coming through. Because I'm using them myself. So I can speak very highly of it because I get personal use out of it. Nancy says, Chicago missed a WordCamp last year. One of the organizers for the 2020 Chicago reached out to me as I'm a Divi fangirl. Fingers crossed. Thanks. Yeah, that is shooting Nick and Nathan an email, of to find out stuff like that. I do remember now that Chicago ended up missing out last year. I remember seeing that on, I think, WP Tavern, that it was like maybe the first time in 10 years that it hadn't met, something like that, it was sad. Sorry, I reading comments again. Does anyone experience mobile size display differences between Android and Apple smartphones, like an H title difference in size? I have. Okay. I've not noticed any in H titles because I tend to use REMs at this point, the relative measurements, the relative units, and everything. And I've noticed that just when I do that, I've swapped to using that most often, that I've had better luck using that than using PT or pixels with using PX. Now, I've had issues on both of them using viewport sizes, where I have run into issues on, let's say, an iPhone XS Max looks one way, but then somebody who sends me a screenshot from their Samsung or whatever will be completely wacky because of the different viewport sizes. I highly suggest that you're using EMs and REMs, and when you can, use VWs as opposed to percentages, anything like that. So those work a little better for me when you're doing spacing for VWs and stuff like that, and REMs for like H tags. We are having an update soon. That one of them I know of is the custom viewport sizing, where you're able to select what the viewport breakpoints are. So if you want to make sure that you use all of X sizing on everything down to a particular size, then you won't have to do what Nancy mentions on the YouTube chat on having to use media queries to handle super small phones. You'll be able to do that with like a different breakpoint where you can set particular sizing that you'll want for the very, very small Android phones, things like that. That will be coming. Like I said earlier, I don't have like timelines on it, but I know that one is in the works. I look forward to that because just this past weekend I was running into some viewport sizing issues, and I was like, please come on, Divi, I need this, because it broke at under like 300 pixels or something like that on width. And Patrick says no PX anymore. Yeah, I don't like PX anymore. I don't like using pixels for just about anything now. I think I use it for post meta still. I think that's about the only thing I use pixels personally for. Let's see, video. Any updated examples of templates for building plugins? Looking for someone that shows some real like pricing tables. I will make a note on that one for that. Design. Got that one. Because pricing table, you're right. That would be a good one that a lot of people are using all the time. And update the template libraries that are I can't read. That are older for more mobile friendliness, like the new one. I would not expect that to happen anytime soon. And I say that because I know that in the long-term plan for updates, we'll eventually, we're hoping, like we're wanting, what our goals here are, is to make sure that all of the stuff is divided into like sections that you can download, things like that. Like that would be great, where you now install the entire page. Like one of the things that we want is to be able to have them by section or something along those lines. But that's where that kind of fix would be able to come in when they're split. And that takes manual work to do. And that's just been one where if they were to be able to update those template libraries, that would be when I would assume that happens, when they get cut out and individually put in. That's just person hours having to get to it and being able to work it in. Because, yeah, even some of the original ones are not as mobile friendly as the current ones that are being released every week. So I feel your pain on that one. I actually had to swap from, I want to say it was the fitness gym one, or maybe personal trainer one. I don't know. I think it was fitness gym, into a different template on a site recently. I think I moved into just the esports. Ended up being the one that I chose for it, and it worked better in terms of just that sizing, responsiveness, that kind of thing. And I see MB asks why the ET homepage is not made in Divi. It's a good question. We get that all the time. The Elegant Themes homepage is actually made on was actually designed a long time ago, before Divi existed. And all of the systems that are in right now are tied into that. And honestly, it would take a complete overhaul of workflows, getting everything together, was what I was told, to be able to get all of it put in on Divi, because that's the way it was in the long ago, in the before time, and it is still running on the same old architecture with everything that was there. It was is because of what happens when you get tech debt, basically. Whether or not it is worth updating everything into the new system or sticking with what you've got that's working and moving like that. But that's why it's not built on Divi. Same for the blog right now. Is it was running on this with the old theme that keeps getting updated, moving everything through, and it works. So it's having to swap everything out at that point. So it is again, person hours, tech debt, that kind of thing. But it is definitely not because of anything where we don't believe in Divi. That is not at all what it is. And then let's see. Sorry, just trying to read here. I think people have to see the templates more like showcases. They always design original templates for your clients. I like that idea. That's one of the big things that we do those for, so you can see how to use a lot of these elements. I know that's how Jason and Donyetta approach a lot of theirs, or download them like templates, and then you can see how to incorporate this or do those. That's why there are the tutorials to show you how to do it. There's some like me who I will see a particular section that I like, and it's like the moving company, I believe. I loved the footer with the contact form in that one, like the way the very bottom of the social footer and global stuff went. So I ended up going and copying all the styles and everything from it and starting to use it in different sites and know how to set it up that way, and then adjusted things from there. Like that's how I use them, is like grab one thing and then delete all the others, or copy and paste from page to page. But yeah, I use them like that, basically. Like, oh, I see this particular feature that I like, or that animation works well, or this is how the dividers work and can be done way better than I could possibly design myself, and do it like that. So yeah, I think that's a really good way of looking at them. Really like Divi to do a better job of embedding YouTube, um what's up with YouTube? I sound bad for saying this. I've actually been using the Gutenberg embed for YouTube lately, just because that's what I've been writing in post. I haven't embedded a page in a while, and that's what I use Divi for. So I can't say that. Let's see. Now there's a big speed hit for embedding videos. I didn't realize that. You may want to hit support up with a ticket just to get that in the pipeline if that wasn't something that's been like reported. A handheld plugin with an ET builder update. I'm not sure that I understand Phanindra on that one in particular. What you're looking for, like maybe being able to edit mobile on the mobile device, perhaps. Not sure on that one. I apologize. And Video says to check page speed insights when embedding a video. I'll look into that. That's one, like I said, I haven't had them in actual Divi pages. It's that I've been using Gutenberg for the last year or two. How long has it been now? A year and a half now since we've had Gutenberg that I've been embedding using it, because I use it for posts. Thanindra, I don't actually know. Improving mobile page speed. Need a handheld. I really don't. The way that I tend to just work on improving mobile page speed is keeping image sizes very, very, very small and making sure that I reduce the number of external calls and queries. That improved mobile page speed for me whenever I just limited the number of scripts that I had running and external calls. I lost about 2.5 seconds off of one of my live sites by basically going in and saying, you know what? I'm not going to have these things running on mobile, and that in particular, like having some pop-ups, not pop-ups, but like the MailChimp, things like that, email pop-ups using Bloom and things like that worked a lot better for me doing that. Really small image sizes, not doing it with CSS, like using specific image sizes instead of having it being resized on the fly, really helped me as well. Like even it's something as small as moving it from 300 by 300 to what I actually did was to 258 to 258. That helped a lot in order to just keep different small queries from constantly having to run in the background and be loaded like that. So maybe maybe that would be something to help. You're right, MB. That would be write it down. Down. There we go. I got my sticky notes over here on my desktop. And then Elise asks, what is the right size of images for PC, iPad, tablet, and mobile should be? And that is the question of the hour, isn't it? That is something that I really, really wish that I had a truly solid answer for. Um, it depends on the site, honestly. It is. Let me think on how I've had this put to me before. Um, it depends 100% on who is using your site, on how big the images and everything should be. I try to alternate. Like if I'm primarily getting like 70% of my users being mobile, I'm not going to worry too much about having any images really bigger than 1200 on my desktop site. I'll have it boxed in and not worry about it. Like Karashan says, 800 by 600 tends to work. That's I usually look at about 1,000 for tablet and mobile. Personally, 1,200 ish at the larger end. If I'm designing for the for desktop, I tend to use personally, and this is personal, so it goes every which way. 1920 by 1080s, just because I like full screen hero images. If I did not, which I've actually been talking with some people today, looking at 1280 by 960s as being what I do, like featured images in. Like our blog, we use a maximum of 880 pixels wide is what we do on the blog. So if you look at any of the recent blog posts over the last few years, at maximum, the blog images will be 880. That way they resize well on mobile, but on pretty much every display that they show on that's larger, they're still going to be legible and readable. Jason did an article year or two ago on, I'm linking in the YouTube and Facebook chat right now, called The Ultimate Guide to Using Images Within Divi. He had some really good tips on sizing and ratios on it. There's also a good article on Divi Space that talks about this as well. It's something that I wish I knew what the best way to do it was. Like I said earlier, I had issues recently on having something move from 300 by 300 to 258 by 258, which I thought was ridiculous, but seconds went off of my site whenever I had all of it not calling at once. So making sure you know exactly what your number one visitors are getting, what they're using to get there, and optimizing for that, and then kind of moving out from there based on the rest of your users as they scale down. You're generally going to have people on giant, like 27 to 32, 36 inch monitors being the very smallest. I've still had a lot of sites where I've seen over the years, last couple of years, where the number one screen resolution has been 1024 by 768, which blows my mind. that in like 2018, 2019, that 1024 by 768 was the number one screen size that I saw on different updates. So it just depends. Long TLDR, depends. But that's what, like I said, that's been my experience with it. Patrick has a good comment in the YouTube channel, in the YouTube live chat. If you have a good tip for people who want to build a multiple language site, use Translate Press. It works great with Divi. Thank you. That is something that comes up here occasionally on what actually works for translating and translating on the fly, maybe. So Translate Press, look into that, y'all. Thanks, Patrick. And then Video asks on any updates on baking in ADA stuff into Divi. No. And I say that because I asked a couple of weeks ago, and I do not know any more about it. That might be something that's coming with the marketplace, that we will be able to have. Hopefully a third-party developer has done stuff like that, but as far as built-in stuff, I have not heard anything about it. I do not know literally the first thing on when or whether that would be coming. But I do know that with the marketplace, just thinking about it and being something that people need, I would assume that's going to be hit up by a third-party developer on there. I know that's not what everyone wants to hear, but I think that will be, I expect, the quickest solution to where some ADA stuff comes in. And yeah, you're right. It would be a game changer being built in. I know that there are a few issues on how things display with the alt text specifically not being pulled from images. I know that you've brought that up. I know that a couple of other people have brought that up. And then... and then people who were talking to me at WordCamp Phoenix who work in higher education were having some issues with it pulling the title rather than the alt text. So I know I spoke to that. For them, I don't know. I think that went to the support team to be able to put in a ticket about that in particular. So that's what I know. That's what I know right now about that. And then ADA MB is the Americans with Disabilities Act. That is what requires websites and businesses to create a fair and equitable experience for users of any disability or capability, where if you go on a site with a screen reader, that you would still be able to have the same functions as you would have with a mouse and keyboard and monitor, for instance, which is like where alt text comes in, where you're able to read it with accessibility options, saying that this image describing downloading a Divi JSON file or something like that on it, as opposed to just having no alt text, no alternate text or something like that. But it's very important these days, and that is something that that websites need to do, is like an accessibility audit. And Patrick Ritter says you can use Photoshop or the Smush WP plugin to resize images. Smush, I believe, is what I've been using, and I've been really impressed with it. I swapped from TinyPing to either Smush. No, it was Imagify was the one that I've used. Imagify was the one I've been really impressed by lately. Really helped me. And I've been resizing using it as well. Photoshop is also what I did when I had to make things 258 by 258. So that was specific. I did that in Photoshop, but whenever I need just large scale image optimization and changes, I've been using Imagify personally. Smush has worked well. And yes, start using SVG files for your logo. That is really important, because those kind of things will save very large. That will save you seconds over the lifetime of a site. That it will be massive over time when you can get like a 3K image that does everything that a 50, 60K one could before or more. And Karashan recommends Short Pixel for image compression. Cool. Never heard of that one, never used it, but that one is opening up in a tab right now for me. I like learning about all this stuff. The ones that I've never used before, I always load up and keep in tabs to be able to check them out. So thank you for that recommendation. I'll definitely be doing that. I like learning about this stuff. So moving forward just a bit, I wanted to talk about a couple of the my voice today, my mouth just does not want to say the words, y'all. A couple of the tutorials that we've got. One of the most recent features that we've introduced was scroll effects. If you haven't seen these and taken advantage of these yet, I think that you definitely should. Scroll effects are one of the things that I like the most on websites. I know that there was a child theme called Mason that a girl in her Mac made a couple of years ago, that when you scrolled down, like the corners exploded out, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved the effect, and that's the kind of thing that you can do with scroll effects now in Divi automatically. So tutorial that I can't remember who wrote it. I've just got to click into it to see, because I can't remember if it was Jason or done yet. It was Jason who did how to stack and animate text using Divi scroll effects, and this one was really cool on being able to take individual letters and move them back and forth on scroll. So the scroll effects are really, really fun. And you can get that one and just straight up download it. Like I'd mentioned before, you can download this this particular section and file and everything and be able to import it into your Divi library. And then Donyeta did one that is the fourth one down on the tutorial section. That is how to add a slide-in product info panel to your Divi product page. This one again is taking advantage of, I believe, the scroll effect on how it works, because it is a different way to show things using the WooCommerce modules. And we know that you guys like the WooCommerce modules. We have a big update coming soon. I haven't heard on when that's coming out, with a massive new amount of WooCommerce modules. It was 17 the last time I heard anything about it. No promises there, but that was what it was last time I was told. And so those should be coming soon-ish, soon TM, like Blizzard always used to tell us when I played World of Warcraft. But the reason that I like this is just the animations on scroll and on product pages make a really big difference in terms of the way that your site is perceived. So product pages especially, check out Donyeta's slide in product info panel. AMA is right. 26 watching, only 4 likes. Smash that like button, y'all. It helps. It really does help. That is how YouTube finds out that people actually like us. They promote our videos, that kind of thing. So hit that one. It's great if you do. That would be wonderful. And then Apps2Fire asks, says, I'm new to Divi. Where to get a free logo? I have used Logo Dust before. I will get emails with open source or maybe Creative Commons. I don't remember the licensing on them, but basically free to use and edit SVGs and downloads of different logo bases. I like those a lot. Some of them you may see elsewhere because obviously they're mass distributed, but if you can edit things just a little bit to your own suiting, then Logo Dust is a really good place to start. A lot of people will say Fiverr, and I've actually had really, really bad luck on logos with Fiverr. I actually got my very first blog logo from Fiverr, and it's funny because I'm fairly certain that there's a business here in town that did as well, because I drive down the street and I see that there is a wellness place, and this was for a fitness blog, that's why it was funny, a fitness and wellness business that has the image, like the actual clip art type thing in the middle that used for my logo on theirs as well. Like, I would not doubt that those people use Fiverr for that as well. But it is apps to fire. That was logodust.com, I believe. Did that one. Let me put it in Facebook as well. Actually got an email maybe yesterday about that one, about some stuff coming from them. They're very good. Things, they're just, like I said, they're I don't want to say mass produced. They are massive. They're publicly available, so edit them a bit to what you do, but it's a good place to start, I think. And video says, I feel like Bloom's getting a bit old in the tooth. Is there a good tutorial for opt-in pop-ups on Elegant Themes? I think there is. Let me see if I can. I think there is a new one on that that I've seen recently. Copy link location. This video is one that I've seen recently. It is using Gutenberg, though. I know. And then this one is not so much a pop-up as it is a fixed header to be able to get an opt-in that way. That I've used that one in the past, recently in the past, the how to create a fixed header with Divi's position options. But yeah, using Divi like that has advanced a lot. And the thing about the Divi email opt-in in a Gutenberg blog post, that one is using a Divi layout block. I couldn't think of what it was called, to be able to do that one like that. And you can use it with the not animations, but the scroll effects to have it work, have it come in using Divi scroll effects on pages as well to use that particular module. And how about something good to use to edit, like Photoshop? I'm not sure I understand apps on that one. If you can explain on that one. There are some Photoshop tutorials on the Elegant Themes blog that I am not, on various things. Just not sure 100% on what you're needing on that one. Let's see. There are a couple on this one that you guys might like on how to become and how to hire virtual assistant. That's the second and third link under tutorials. Those are, I think, really, really important because the how to become a virtual assistant has a comment in the obviously in the comment section that someone brought up really specific laws in the UK on what it requires to be a virtual assistant, that you have to register with the ICO as a data controller, that you need to register with HMRC for AML, which is apparently something to do with money laundering, they say, and that gives a lot of information specifically for that country that I, as an American, have no idea about. So it's just stuff to look into, to be aware of in the post and the comments here. So I was very, very thankful for Sarah Banks on providing that one. MB says, regarding Photoshop, I use Affinity, best buy ever. Both Photoshop and Designer. Photoshop are way too expensive. Affinity Designer is great. I've used GIMP as well. There's some other alternatives, but I've heard great things recently about what Affinity's doing right now, and I haven't used it in a while. Like, I tried a trial of it a while back or something, but it's been not recent that I've seen it, but I've heard really great things. If you want a free one, apps, I would go with GIMP just to start with. Paint.net is also a very good one. They are not as flashy as you're going to find with Photoshop. Affinity is $50 for a lifetime, which is an awesome deal. Holy cow. Thank you, MB. But absolutely for free, the two that come off the top of my head are GIMP and Paint.net. Let me see. Again, let me get back to our blog. I was thinking that maybe, let's see. I typed that in wrong. Dead air. When I was a DJ, my bosses would have killed me for this. I'm trying to find it here. Lightroom, GIMP, Paint.net. Not seeing any other ones like that, but Affinity Photo, Nobody Panic recommends. And then there's one for Paint Shop Pro. I haven't used Paint Shop in a very long time. Man, not since the 90s, I think, on Paint Shop. But Randy Brown did a review of it and talks about how it works and what all it can do these days. But no, apps, if you're looking for free, I would first look into, absolutely free, look into GIMP or Paint.net. Those are the top absolutely free ones that I know of. Then you have things like Inkscape and different things like that that get into slightly different things that aren't necessarily image and photo editors, but are art programs that do a little bit different things. But in terms of like straight Photoshop alternatives, GIMP and PaintNet are the top ones that I know of, at least. And I see Heidi on Facebook is asking, do you guys plan to add the add to cart button on Woo? The last time I checked, there was no add to cart button on the shop page. Thanks. I'm going to assume, Heidi, that is included in the sequel bunch of WooCommerce buttons or WooCommerce modules. As far as I've heard, like I'd mentioned a couple of lifetimes ago now, I don't even remember when I mentioned it, the last I heard, there were 17 new WooCommerce modules coming in the second batch. So I would wait on those, because with the number of those, I would assume it would be there. I don't actually know for sure because I haven't had a list of those. I was just told there are 17, which basically rounds out anything else that you could think of for WooCommerce, because I honestly can't think of 17 things myself that are missing from it. So I look forward to seeing those and getting y'all's feedback on how they do. But that would be when I wait for it, or that would be when I would look for it when those come out. Again, I don't know a timeline on them because things always shift in development when you're working on something, especially with 17 individual modules that are being packaged together like that. But they are coming, and that's when I would assume that would be there. I know that's one that has been asked for in the past, has been asked for more, is the add to cart button. And so I would put money on it. I might lose that bet. Don't hold me to it, but that's what I would assume would be included in the 17. And Nobody Panic does say, I strongly suggest the Affinity products as well. So apps, if you do get a little bit bringing in, that may be a worthwhile investment. But to start with, definitely GIMP or PaintNet for that, and they're very good for what they do. Let's see. I've only got just a couple of minutes. Let's see. Smashing Magazine had a really cool article on what to do if people hate your brand mascot. That I thought this one was just delightful. It's about nearly halfway through the tutorial section. It's what to do if people hate your brand mascot. And it's kind of a case study and a how-to on how to redesign your website based around characters that your business may use, either highlighting them or pulling them back a little bit, being able to lean into them, or, just make sure that they're still there to identify your business, but not so much that it's too kitschy. I just like the article. It did good things. It made me laugh with some of the examples they did. And then There's a Delicious Brains article that was great for developers on how to create a plugin settings page. So if you're on the advanced side and want to get into that, that's a really good tutorial. ResizeMyImage.com does a how to clean up your website's media library. All of us need this, especially those of us who make heavy use of the Divi layout packs. Remember that when you import a Divi layout pack, you do get access to all of the images and illustrations that are used in that pack, which means that while you do have royalty-free GPL access to all of them, and you can do whatever you want, they do get loaded into your media library. So that might mean some deletions and cleaning stuff up to save space, to keep your inodes down, just do whatever you need to do, just to make things, navigable. Really, sometimes I've had to do a lot of deleting that way because I use them a lot. So just remember that. Someone had mentioned, I think it may have been Patrick earlier, mentioned about using SVGs for logos and different files. CSS Tricks has a great, has a great tutorial on how to add background colors to SVGs using a CSS rect element, RECT. I've never used that one, but being able to add backgrounds to your SVGs is incredibly useful and makes them even more versatile than they did. And then DiviTheme.net has a complete guide on how to design a header with Divi theme. I always love highlighting the Divi Nation, the stuff that y'all are doing, and getting these kinds of tutorials out there that introduce more people to the theme builder. That if you've not built a custom header yet with the theme builder, a global header, try it out. It is really, really, really good. There are just wonderful things that can be done with it, and this is a very good tutorial to walk y'all through it. Securi has an Is My Site Hacked tutorial on how to tell if your site is hacked. Very, very useful. I actually even ran some of the stuff on some of mine after I ran across this article to make sure that I didn't have any malware running in the background I wasn't aware of. There's a YouTube video from Freemius on how to sell lifetime licenses for WordPress stuff. So if you're interested in that, they do good stuff. And then Velocitize has 7 great examples of using social listening to build your brand. And it's good. Velocitize is one of those publications that I've seen lately that really get the state of technology right now. And one of the things that they point out at the very beginning is the idea of see how people are talking about you and then lean into it. They talk about how Netflix has made Netflix and chill socks, that they have branded socks and stuff on there. It's just neat. And MB, in the what tutorial before Security, let me see, where was I at on that one? That was the how to design a custom header with Divi. That one is it is the 4th up from the bottom in the tutorial section. So it is how to design the custom header with the Divi theme, and like I said, y'all need to be playing around with some of these global headers that things can happen. Well, guys, I'm out of time. I want y'all to know that you are fantastic human beings, and I love all of the conversation that's happening. Every week, more and more and more happens, and I truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I'm glad that you're comfortable to be able to come and ask, and thank you as a community for being able to answer and give your expertise to the community and helping everyone grow and move along. I truly appreciate that, and you are why we keep doing this. It is just wonderful to be able to interact with y'all on a weekly basis like this. Remember that we do ask that you hit the like button. Mentioned that earlier when there was a comment about it, but it does help. And if you want to be notified whenever we go live as a channel, you can tell Facebook that you want to be notified when we go live and get a notification. And if you ring the bell on YouTube, you'll get a notification. Just subscribing or liking will not get that. So you'll just see new videos in your feed, things like that. So you have to ring the bell. We go live on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern with this show. Tuesdays on at 3 p.m. Eastern with a use case on how to use Divi in a particular way. With a use case with Jason and Donietta. And then every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, Mac goes live after a feature release. Those are great streams to be able to learn how to use any new feature that we've released after you've had a weekend to play with it. I see Nancy, I think it was, that asked, let me see, gotta find it. How do we email you, Nathan or Nick, directly? As far as mine is bj@elegantthemes.com, Nathan at elegantthemes.com, and Nick at elegantthemes.com. You can toss us emails that way. That is that's how to do it. So thank you for asking about that. I really appreciate, like I said, y'all coming in. And yes, Nancy, ringing the bell also means an angel gets their wings. So everybody wins if you ring the bell. I'll see you guys next Friday afternoon. Bye, everybody.